now that we are past March, it is more than a quarter of the year gone already. So how are you doing with your New Year's resolutions? I'm going to help you today to check in, take a life inventory, and get yourself pulled together and more organized. So this is a full life organization and hacks video. So my 7 tips for getting your life together. Number 1 obviously has to begin with the beginning of your day. So the first tip is meaning in the morning. So for me, with my anxiety, I have noticed that I do a lot better if I don't have expectations as soon as I wake up. I noticed my highest anxiety days are days when I have to go into work or when I was still in college. If I had to be in class so early in the morning that was basically like no matter how early I got up, I felt like I didn't have time for myself. I had to wake up, jump right in the shower, and get ready. And that was hard because as soon as the alarm went off, it was expectations being placed on me. And we're going to talk a little bit more about expectations in just a second. I have found that making at least 30 minutes, if not a full hour for myself before I have to be anywhere has really helped manage that anxiety a little bit better. And I know some of us might not ever really even feel like you can be alone, or you'll just have to get up so early that it doesn't even feel good. But there are some things you can do even if technically your spouse or your kids or your roommates or whoever are awake. You can do yoga if you can find a private corner. Stay in your room even, whatever works best, but yoga, meditating, affirmations, if you're religious, scripture study and prayer, like Bible journaling. Some of these things we get more out of them, sure, when we are alone. Definitely we get more out of them if we can do them alone, but they're not impossible to do if somebody else is up and around the house. You can also work on that hobby that you've been wanting to do but don't feel like you have time. Just get up half an hour earlier than you need to and maybe take that time to finally explore a new talent. And guess what? Last but not least, you can also throw all these ideas out the window, the common self-help, how to make your morning better, and just get up and sit in front of the TV. Really, just having that time where you can sit down before most people are up and going and making noise and watching your favorite YouTuber or a Netflix show. It doesn't even matter. If that is what helps you, I say just go for it. Just watch the TV in the morning. Tip number 2 is obviously to have a planner of some point. I think that just makes sense. If you're talking about getting your life organized and getting things done, you just have to bite the bullet and admit you might need to write down a to-do list in some way. So this is what I am currently using. It's just a tearaway, which I love because when I'm done with the one day I'm using it, I just tear it off and I use the other side. It's just blank, and I don't sit and fill all this stuff in, but it's really nice to be able to not waste the paper and just jot down certain things that I've got to get done. If there's a certain order or time they need to be done, I'll just make notes and I can go like 3 days on the back of the paper like that. Something else I love about the tearaway is that, like I said, I can maximize the space and not waste that back of the paper, but then I can also recycle it because it's just paper with some writing on it. Because I am a paper person, I need to physically write down what I'm doing and my ideas. I can't put it in my phone and all that. It just doesn't work as well for my brain, but I don't want to be using all this paper. So I feel a little bit more sustainable knowing that I can just tear it off and throw it away. There's not a binder with rings or stickers inside that might not be recyclable. So I definitely recommend that if you're worried about sustainability but also want to write something down. One I have is by Bliss Collections on Amazon, and they have tons of different kinds with different layouts and designs. I think it was only like 10 or 11 bucks. Had it for like 3 years. Now, of course, 2 of those years were during a pandemic, so I was planning a lot less because I wasn't going out. So it's not something that I use every single day. There are some things, you know, this day you just know what you're going to do. You don't need to write stuff down. On the weekends, I never use it. But like I said, then you can also maximize the back of these tearaway kind of planners and just write things down. And then sometimes I've used one sheet of paper front and back, covered me a whole week. So it's a really good economic way I think, to get one of those. There are definitely some planners out there that come all pre-made in a little binder that have some benefits. There are some I'm looking into. I might get myself. But whatever you do, a planner that's really detailed or just a throwaway to-do list, get yourself organized and know what you need to accomplish each day. I know it's a cliche and everybody says it, but as someone who personally hates having constraints on my time, back to those expectations in the morning, planning out my day feels kind of like planning out a budget and your money. And sometimes it can feel restrictive, but when you end up saving and you have more money to spend, you realize there's more freedom. The same goes with your time. Get done what you want. Get done what you need, and then you have time for what you want. And this is coming from someone who hates schedules, which is also something I'm going to talk about in just a second. Just kidding, I'm going to talk about it right now. It's my tip number 3. Have you heard of Gretchen Rubin? In the world of personality tests, she has created something a little bit different. She has done this little test where you kind of figure out how you work with expectations. So the obvious one is the people pleaser. She actually argues, though, that there are kind of 4 types of personalities in this sense of meeting expectations. Number 1, that people pleaser. 2 is the rebel. And then the other 2, my gosh, I can't even remember. There's another one that I believe is like a combination. They respond both to internal and external expectations and rise to meet them. But of course, I remember what the rebel is because that was my result. To no surprise to me, because the rebel doesn't meet any expectation. Meaning, just because somebody else expects me to do something, wants me to do something, if it stresses me out, it's not a motivation because so and so cares. I'm just like, nope, not about it. Also, myself, even if I want to reach a goal, when push comes to shove, it can be really hard for me to stay motivated, even if it's something that I really want. It can feel really hard to change, and you keep asking yourself, why am I not meeting these goals? Why am I not taking care of this or that? Just kind of keep following all the self-help tips and nothing's working. What does seem to be a descriptor for you in these things? Same with like the Enneagram and the Myers-Briggs, all of those. You can take some value from that and leave what you don't want. But taking these types of tests is my 3rd tip because I really think it can help you realize, how do I really operate? And if the other typical things people say and do aren't working for me, why not? And what can I do to change that? And your life will get more organized and you'll be able to better reach your goals. Number 4 is actually journaling of some kind. So this can be typical diary style, or it could be bullet journaling, Bible journaling, as I already mentioned, or just stream of consciousness, a brain dump, a brain declutter. Again, this is a great activity to do in the morning. You wake up with a million thoughts, just jot them all down, and then you can relax and have a little time before you have to get to all those things you have to do. 5 is to take a life inventory. Again, people talk about this a lot. As I mentioned right at the beginning of this video, the New Year's, January, that's typically when people are doing this. And then now we're a quarter of the way in, and where are you at with those goals? These are great things to reflect on and reevaluate where you're at and where you want to be at. But I want to look at a little bit more than just that typical evaluate your life, New Year's resolution kind of mindset. I want to go deeper and start asking the little detail questions, because it's our day-to-day life that actually makes up the year. So if you had a goal that in 1 year you would accomplish XYZ, but then you get caught up in the Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job and all those other things, the year slips away, your life slips away, and you're like, I haven't accomplished what I wanted to yet. Why not? It's because Monday mornings in the hecticness, that's your life. You've got to take it by the horns and figure out how to put these things into every day. And I know that that's easier said than done. So one of the ways to do that, one of the ways that I have started, and that was getting down into the nitty-gritty questions. I asked myself, what am I doing in the morning first thing? What is going into my brain first thing in the morning? So what am I putting in my brain very first thing? Is it social media? Is it a fun YouTube video? Like I said, sometimes these things are exactly what you need right out of bed. Just a moment to not have to care what you have to do and just sit down to some good old TV. But on the day-to-day, what am I putting in very first? And is that pushing back other things? Because some of those things you just go down the rabbit hole with. I've made sort of a pact with myself, which it's not written in stone, like I have to do it every single morning of my life, but mostly every day when I get up in the morning and I want to just sit down and turn on the TV or pull out Instagram or whatever, if I'm turning on the TV, what I have a little rule for myself now is I have to turn on something that is inspirational, motivating, or educational. So I'm not just watching, I was gonna say Call the Midwife, but sometimes I make a little excuse for that because it is educational. Not just watching like a funny reaction to reels or something on YouTube. I'm watching like a lot of docuseries now on Netflix, or some podcasts that are, again, either educational or inspirational and get me motivated. Then I also ask myself if I'm doing the things every day that I need to do in order to reach those New Year's goals. What are my day-to-day habits and what do I want them to be? Sometimes we need to be honest with ourselves about what we truly want our days and our lives to look like. Sometimes we feel like we're supposed to say something that sounds better, like, I want my day to look like I get up at 5 a.m. every day and I work out and then I make a green smoothie and then I walk my dog and then I paint a landscape and then I make a Pinterest-worthy lunch for the kids and then I cook a chef's Michelin level dinner. But if you actually were doing all those things every single day, I don't think you'd really enjoy that life. I think you'd get burned out at some point, probably within a week. And so what do you really want your life to look like? The healthy, active things you do every day, that is great. That should be a lifestyle. And that's something that I'm working on as well. But it's okay if you can't suddenly just adopt all of those major habits and major goals all at once. It just doesn't work like that for people. Our brains are not wired to take on that much all at once. I was listening to Huberman Lab's podcast in the morning, and he actually talked about picking up 6 habits and attempting to do every single one every day for 21 days. And then the expectation is actually that you're only going to manage to get 4 of them done every day, just because of how it takes the brain to develop a habit. Pick those things that you do think, this is what I want my life to look like, but then be honest with yourself. Do you want some wiggle room for a day that you are just in your sweats watching TV? Work all of that in. Just like when people are dieting, there's the talk about it being a sustainable lifestyle. You can't cut out carbs and chocolate or whatever forever. And there's usually a backfire when you try and do that. So people say you've got to find a diet that incorporates those things as well. The same goes for anything. Trying to create a life that looks the way you want it to look, you have to have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm more than halfway done through this list and I'm just preaching it all to you. I need to stop and say that I'm talking to myself just as much. And I know also that's another cliche, but really, because this is all stuff I decided I wanted to sit down and talk about because it's been what I've been doing for the past, like, maybe even 5 months, 4 or 5 months. I've been reflecting on my life like this. And then there was, New Year's, and there's still things that I'm struggling with, and I need to remind myself in this video. And the last maybe 3 weeks, I feel like I've started to make some headway through all of these tips that I'm giving you. I'm not even a month into them myself, but I've already noticed so much of a difference that I thought I'm gonna make this video. I wasn't planning on it, but I needed to. I hope it's helpful, but even if I just watch it 3 more times this year myself, it will help me to remember to get back on track in case I slip up on all of these things, because I will. I'm a person. I'm a human. I slip up all the time. Okay, number 6 is finances. And this is the one the most that I am preaching to the choir, and I'm the one who needs it. I'm not the best with my finances. Again, recently, I have been evaluating where I'm spending my money and why. What are my values and priorities behind why I'm making that purchase? Retail therapy has its place, but it shouldn't be the common only coping mechanism for stress that we have. Otherwise, it can create a whole nother stress. Purchasing something that will really benefit you, really be able to take your business or your hobby or your goals to the next level, Honestly know you are going to use, and not just tell yourself that the version of yourself in your head is going to use. Again, some honest little self-reflection and life inventory. Or if it's something that will benefit your family. There are things that are okay to spend money on, even if it's not like buying all of Gandhi's writings and trying to better your life, and that's the only thing you'll spend your money on. Just watching, again, those, what are the values that you have in your life, and are the things you're spending your money on matching that and helping you achieve the life that you want. Number 7 is protection. Organizing your life means protecting it, and I mean that very literally. Make those doctor's appointments, go to the dentist, do those things that will help you to stay healthy. Nothing is going to derail your goals and the life that you want than getting ill. Even money stress and a change in your financial status, though that can be a blow, if you have your health, it might be easier for you to keep going, do what you need to do to bring in more income and change how your life is going financially. But if you're not healthy, you literally have to just pause and get healthy. There's not much progress you can make until you take care of what's going on in your body and in your mind. I don't mean like chronic illness anymore. There are things that are not going to go away, and those are really tough. But I'm talking about what you can control, and I'm not suggesting putting your entire life on hold to do it, but start with step 1, whatever that is for you. You also need to protect what's yours. Think about your insurance on your property and things that you own, so that things that would cost a lot if something happened to you, happened to those things needing to be replaced, that it's not going to be such a major setback that you have to sacrifice some of your other goals. And the third part of protecting yourself is considering online protection. Again, this might seem like, why am I talking about this for organizing your life? But if you are working on building the life that you want, and then someone comes and steals your identity or your credit card or whatever, that is full train off the rails. So another book I picked up at the library, but haven't started yet, is Protecting Your Internet Identity. It is a little bit older, although this is the updated edition. But it's Protecting Your Internet Identity. Are You Naked Online? That could be literal, depending on what videos and photos you may have had go to places you didn't want it to. But they're also talking figuratively. To read you some of the contents in this, like the chapter headings here. Some of the things they talk about, obviously identity theft and defamation, but also behavioral targeting, your right to be forgotten online and to complain online, even branding your public persona. As I am building my YouTube and my online presence, that's why I picked this up, but I think anyone can use it. If you are building an online brand or presence or not, if you are on the internet, which you are right now, if you are watching this, you need to think about these things. You post on the internet, even if you delete it, it's never really gone. Once people have seen it, they could have a copy of it, and that could affect even your career. You know, so many employers now ask for a link to your social media. They want to see who you really are and what you've said about past employers as well. Consider really getting things in order from a financial point, from a routine point, from the, I just did say financial point, yes, from online, all the things that we've talked about. Just work on one at a time, even if it's just too overwhelming. I'm telling you even more things you got to do. Start simple with what's the easiest first bite for you to take to get your life organized. I'll keep going on this journey as well as I organize my home and my life. And I hope that you'll stick around and keep plugging along with me too. Thanks for watching.